we basically looked at everything that we've been doing with the Zoo XYZ from an education perspective, and the courses that we run, which are accredited, and we give students a budget of £2,000 to £3,000, and they can produce their own events. So they have a vocational and a practical experience. It was bringing it all into one space.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of CN Meets. I'm Louisa Daley, a reporter for Conference News, and today I'm joined by Nadu Placca, who's a global event and experience architect, and who's also the founder of events agency, the Zoo XYZ. Today we're going to chat about Nadu's agency and her recent report, Black in the Boardroom, which explores the racial disparities within the UK events industry. Hi Nadu, how are you?
Hi my love, I'm good, how are you?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So to start things off, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your career journey?
Absolutely. So I've been in events for about 14 years. It sounds crazy. I just realized the other day I graduated in 2009. That's like a lifetime ago, right?
Yeah.
I always had a passion for events. I think I started off, my dad used to do events, my mum used to take me to events, and I was always trying to get involved, like passing microphones to people as they're going on stage, and really, just being interested in what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And at the age of 19, I was pregnant and responsible for the life of another human being pending, and was like, oh my God, I probably need to do something with my life. So that was, at that time, that was the first full-time job I'd ever had in my life. I worked for NatWest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided I was going to go into events. That was what I've been doing. I realized, with my friendship group, where are we going for the weekend, Nadu? I don't know, I'll organize it. Where are we going on holiday, Nadu? I don't know, I'll organize it. And then I realized you could make money, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. So I decided to go to university, get a degree so I could be responsible for this human being that I decided to bring into the world at 18. Crazy. And yeah, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And that's really where it began. I was headhunted out of university and was able to work with an organization. And then from there, I was like, I don't need to work with them. I can do this myself. Enter the world of running your own business, and yeah, shock, horror. It's not as easy as it looks.
Well, I really love that your passion for events actually stemmed from going to events and doing events with your parents. I think that's really wholesome and a really nice starting point. So it shows that you've always loved it, really.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that was definitely a subconscious thing. You take your kids out and they're a part of your life, and they get you doing things that you don't realize is really, installing the foundations of a potential career. Mm-hmm. And I think it was only when I was older and I realized, like, oh, I've been doing this.
Yeah.
It's something that has been very natural to me. So it didn't feel like it was a forced jump into something. It just felt very natural because it was very easy to do at the time.
Well, that sounds great. So leading on from where you are now today, the zoo, could you tell me when and why did it start? And how big is the team?
Yeah, so after being headhunted, starting my first company, I probably had 2 or 3 companies that didn't get off the ground because various reasons. You have business partners that are crazy. You just don't put the energy into organizing a business properly. Yeah. So we founded the zoo in 2019. Mm-hmm. And that was off the back of me really wanting to put my energy and time into a brand, something that was a little bit ominous. It didn't, do what it said on the tin. Someone be like, what's the zoo? What does that mean? What's this XYZ?
Yeah.
And so we were lucky enough, we conceptualized in Ghana when we were doing a series of events there, and then birthed the agency. And it has literally just been all of my experience being brought into one powerhouse. And I've also taken a powerhouse of Black female event professionals as well, who have joined me. And these are people who have been on our courses from like 2000 and I don't know, 15, 16, students that have come and worked with us up until like my executive assistant, she completed our course the other day. So we have a team of about 12 Black women who are all event amazing experts, and we grow together. We travel the world together, we do difficult events together, we cry together, we laugh together, we clink champagne glasses together, and it's all a real sisterhood that really supports the vision and the journey of what the Zoo XYZ is all about, really.
Yeah, well, I think that sounds like such an inspiring environment to work in every day, and a nice, like, close-knit working environment. So that sounds lovely.
I hope it is.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I think one of the things about running a business is it's difficult. You have highs, you have lows, and it's really, especially with COVID hitting us, being able to come out the other end and really be able to build back. I wouldn't be able to do it without this team. So I'm so grateful for them holding on, pushing me, so I can lead them the best way possible.
Yeah, well, talking about your team then, what sort of client base and what sort of events do you deliver as a team?
Yeah, so we typically fall into the arts entertainment industry. A lot of stuff we do is music, live events, never by initial choice, it's happened. And we basically do them all around the world. So we've done events in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, America, so many places. And London is obviously home, and that's where we do the majority of our events. But I think I've been blessed to be able to travel the world and do some great, exciting events. Everything from launching nightclubs with artists to marathons to 17,500 capacity festivals. It's just exciting and different, and we learn every time. I think that's one thing we're never not doing, is learning, and it really excites me to be able to grow and be able to learn new territories. How do they, you know, organize events? What are their considerations? What do they have to think about? And us being able to bring our knowledge as well. So it's a real exchange of skills, really.
Yeah, well, it sounds like no 2 days are the same, which sounds incredible.
At all.
So talking about events, obviously past year, or actually 18 months, has been difficult for the whole events industry. With restrictions easing up, what percentage of events do you think will stick with the virtual over the next couple of years, and will the return to in-person or live events be harder than thought? Because I know a lot of people are sticking with virtual, doing a mix of both. So what's your opinion?
Honestly, I hate virtual events, so I hope they don't stick and stay forever, because that's not our interest in how we really bring experiences to life. We're all about in person, being able to touch, feel, smell, and really experience something. So definitely, I think leaning more towards hybrid, to be able to, I think, you know, off the back of COVID and Freedom Day, you know, we had Freedom Day, and being able to get back into events, I think people have discovered the need to be able to have that virtual element to an event, to be able to reach a much wider target audience, to be able to stretch across, you know, continents and countries that you never would have imagined you could do, which is crazy to think, because the technology was always there. But I guess it was never a forced situation to be able to bring people together in that way. So I'm very hopeful that in person or in real life events will stick. They will be able to come back stronger than ever, but there will be a hybrid element to it, to be able to kind of tap into the wider audience.
Definitely, and I think a lot of event professionals watching probably feel the same as you, because there's nothing that can replace that in-person experience. That's what events industry is all about.
100%. And it's funny because February this year, in the middle of the UK being in lockdown, I was in Zanzibar in a music festival, and I was like, this is so weird. So like the rest of the world is just completely locked down and I'm just out here partying. It was so surreal, because it was also the first time being around people in such a tight environment again. And you know, you've got everything that's been happening in the last year in the back of your mind, but you're also trying to fight that, to be able to enjoy this environment where people are together, you're bonded through the traumas that we've had through COVID, but we're out here on the other side. And I met people from London there. I met people from South Africa, from Ghana, from all over the world. And I was just like, we escaped, we made it, we were at this festival. So yeah, very surreal experience. But I think it also just reminded me that passion and the connection that you get from in real life experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
This next question is going to be a personal one from me. On your website, I saw that you're an advocate for young people in the creative industries, which is amazing. So I wanted to know why you're an advocate for young people in particular. What qualities make them stand out or valuable to the industry?
Without sounding corny, we are the world, we are the future. Honestly, young people really are. Their drive, their creativity, their ideas, it's fresh, it's imaginative, and it's necessary. I think speaking about diversity, that also falls across age, like being able to have people that can contribute. And for me, I think all the work we've ever done has always had a focus around young people. And I wanted to be the person that could support more people that were in the position that I was. You know, when I was growing up and doing events and really trying to get my business off the ground, there wasn't like an association or a beacon of a person that I really looked up to, that I thought actually they're doing things, be it educational courses, be it that they can just pick up the phone and I could speak to that person to really support my growth and journey. And so I always wanted to be that person for people, because you know, being able to have a bit of support and someone that, you know, you can just bounce ideas off, or you can have some educational masterclasses that will support maybe your way of thinking, like who knows what can be developed from that. And so we naturally fell into being a supporting role through our education. And then I think that's also naturally grown into what we're doing with the next step of my next chapter as the association. So yeah, I think it's important that young people are supported, because often it can feel very isolated, and that, you know, you're the only person, especially the only person of color or the only Black person in this industry. And I think, you know, we need to make sure we're visible so the young people can see themselves in the future.
Definitely. I think anyone who's watching, especially young Black event professionals, they find that really refreshing to hear and appreciate that there's people out there kind of holding the torch and supporting younger people, like paving the way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So speaking of that, you've just set up a new association for Black event professionals and published a report called Black in the Boardroom. Can you describe your findings and explain how your Beehive initiative aims to drive equality, diversity and inclusion across the industry?
Absolutely. So Black in the Boardroom was birthed out of pure frustration. Knowing, excuse me, knowing where the industry had been, where it was at the time, it was very stagnant. Obviously, COVID had affected the whole world and events were hit the hardest. And thinking about where we wanted to go to the future, I'd seen a report or two that looked at, you know, inequality and diversity, and it was basically like, do you see racism in your workplace? 76% said no. And it really hurt me, because being in the industry for 14 years, running my own business, being in spaces where I've been the only Black person, and I say that because like even my mother is white, so I'm mixed Black. Like I also am flying my own flag, but being the only Black person in those spaces, I was just like, this is bull. Let me say. And I know that if I was to pull some hard statistics, it would speak otherwise.
Yeah.
So, you know, really being able to pull those numbers. And, you know, I think one thing I've said to a lot of people, and they've said to me as well, it wasn't shocking, as in it wasn't surprising that this was the number, but it was like disheartening. And just like, it's 2021, why are we here? So to know that there are 0% Black people across any board for those 15 UK event trade bodies and associations, it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. And so we basically looked at everything that we've been doing with the Zoo XYZ from an education perspective, and the courses that we run, which are accredited, and we give students a budget of £2,000 to £3,000, and they can produce their own events. So they have a vocational and a practical experience. It was bringing it all into one space. So the Beehive initiative the B stands for Black Event Experience, and that's exactly what it is. It is supporting the experience of Black event professionals and pushing them into the industry to be able to get jobs and placements so they can really just take control of their lives and be supported by these predominantly white-led organizations to help them grow as an individual and, you know, support with a succession route so they can expand. If you want to work in the corporate field as an individual, if you want to start your own business, everything that we're doing really supports that. And then, sorry, go on.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think it's really great that you're making like proactive, tangible solutions, because these actions is what's going to support future Black event professionals. So it's really good to see kind of words turn into actions. So it's really great to hear.
Yeah, and that's what I'm glad you feel that way, because I feel that way. There's been a lot of things that were spoken and people saying they're going to do things and they've got focus groups and working groups, but what are they actually doing? So we were like, this is some tangible stuff that can really, you know, take it to a next level. And then to top that all off, in the report, we were effectively saying, you know, Black people need a seat at these tables. Yeah. But in that same conversation, that same breath, we were like, actually, we have all of the skills that we need to build our own. And that's why we decided to launch the Association of Black Event Professionals, because I want to be that person that can support 10 other Zoo XYZ organizations to get them, you know, up to the level that they need to be. So they're rivaling like your, you know, Jack Morton, your Smiles, your Momentum Worldwide, and can really have a footing in this industry. And so the association is there to support individuals. So if you're freelancers or you're, you know, working within an organization as a role, businesses, small businesses that really want to expand and level up, and suppliers. And we look at those three areas across different years of experience. So 0 to 5 years, if you're just entering the industry in any of those remits, you're considered a fresher. If you're 5 to 10 years, you're a YG. If you're 10 to 15 years, like myself, an OG. And 15 years plus, as we say in our community, you know, we pay respect where respect is due. You would be an auntie or an uncle. And it's really being able to tap into each of those intersections to be able to provide as much experience, as much knowledge, as much support as possible, so that the community is supporting each other. So yeah, I'm very excited for this next chapter.
I'm so glad to hear that. That all sounds really great. Lastly, what advice would you give to future Black female event professionals who want to career in the events industry, particularly at high levels, considering obviously the report's findings?
Call me. Just pick up the phone. Email me, get in touch, because we have some amazing opportunities as well. You know, from grassroots, again, people entering the industry, right to professionals that have been in the industry for longer than myself. The opportunities are out there. We are supporting people getting onto boards and really being the voice that they can support the association as well, become a member, and yeah, just pick up the phone, get in touch, see how we can help. I think that's the first step, is just leaning into the conversation and seeing where it can be taken.
Definitely. Well, what a lovely way to end our conversation. Thank you for joining me, Nadu. I'm sure any future event professional watching this will be leaving inspired. If you want to learn more about the Zoo XYZ or Black in the Boardroom, you can visit the link in the description below. Nadu, thank you again.
Thanks for having me.